All right, we're about to go live for day 41. Just get a couple things set up here. Welcome. All right, welcome. We're gonna go live now. So we got a couple things to go over tonight. Won't be long. It's a little late. I get that. Not sure who's gonna be on at this hour. So on my end, I had some cousins in town. We had a big family party, so that's why this presentation is a little bit late. Going to do 12 minutes. Going to talk about the end of job chaos, how to crush your final walkthroughs. This was a big learning lesson for me. So for those of you that stay on board, awesome. We'll get you set up. And here you go. Understand this. Homeowners are nervous and anxious, and they don't know what's going on. So when the homeowner hires you and then you tell them, hey, we're going to do this final walkthrough, I want you to tell me everything that's wrong, they're going to walk around and find wrong stuff because you told them to. What you have to say to them is, hey, our final walkthrough is just about making sure we educate you on everything and give you a chance to look over everything, see if you have any questions. It's not about finding everything that's wrong, because that's what your project manager does or you do before the final walkthrough even happens. And when you switch that dynamic, you don't end up with blue tape all over the place. So anyhow, if you're new here, let me know where you're from. Let me know what niche you're in. Hey, Benjamin, thanks for sharing the live. Appreciate you. If anybody ever needs a really good AI video, reach out to Benjamin Zaninga. He does great work, and he can teach you how to do it as well. So, all right. With that being said, we are going to roll. At any point, you can put a comment in the question in the comments, and otherwise, let's get rolling. So, look, most contractors, they lose all their money at the end of the job. They can't close out the job. They think they're done. They end up spending like another week on the job at the very end. And you can switch that so easily. You have to have a process. You have to dictate and guide the homeowner. So my home state, Maryland, it does not do a lot of things well. But one thing it did that really helped us was it put together a sort of a code of ethics, a standards sheet. And they told us this is what they recommend we tell homeowners on how to judge our work at the end, right? Because if you don't expressly tell the homeowner how to judge the work, they don't know how to judge the work. And you don't want to leave it up to them. But it taught me an important rule, and it's the 6-foot rule. And what that means is your homeowner should always stand 6 foot away from any finished thing that you've remodeled for them, and that's how they evaluate. They don't get right up on the wall with a magnifying glass and look for all the imperfections in your sheetrock finish, or all, down on their hands and knees inspecting every nail hole in the trim. No, you get back, you look at the project as a whole from 6 feet away. And I share that because if you have cracks in the drywall finish that are visible from 6 feet away, that should be addressed at the final walkthrough. But if there's like a little scratch in the corner from where you were sanding, just a little aggressive, if you can't see it from 6 feet away, it's going to be okay. Unless you're doing super high end and the client's paying for that level 5 finish. But the average contractor, that's not necessary. All right, so let's break all this down, run through it. And again, if you're new, you want to let me know where you're from and what your specialty is. If you have any questions about how to do a final walkthrough and how to prep the client, we can go over that. And also understand that we have guides for these and worksheets and things that you hand the homeowner. All that we cover in our Rebel program. So if you're not a member of the Rebels and you want to get on board, all that's provided for you. But I'll go over most of what you need. You'll just have to create your own sheet. All right, so let's go. So why would this matter? Well, I can tell you from experience is, let me ask you this. Have you ever crushed the whole project? You think it's perfect, and then you watched it unravel in like the last 72 hours because the homeowner just starts picking it apart? Yeah. See, you're ahead of schedule. The work is solid. The crew's ready to wrap up, and then bam, the homeowner, they start pointing out the scuffs, the misalignments. They suddenly notice that fridge handle doesn't look right. And you thought everything was perfect. And now you're stuck doing like another $4,000 worth of redos, free repairs on that $120,000 project that you thought was approved, right, and done. So it happens. And here's the problem. A lot of people treat that final 10% of the project like it's worth 10% of the effort, but it's what they remember 100% of the time. So here's where I'm going with that. You could have worked hard for 3 months, and that last week is what the homeowner is going to remember, the last day or two. So you don't want it to be that you're scrambling to fix all the things that they're frustrated about. You want to have already taken care of that stuff, way before the final walkthrough. One of the ways we do it is we do progressive walkthroughs. And what I mean is you're telling the client, like, this is what's been done. This is what they should be looking for during each phase. That way, when it's the final phase, they're only trying to pick out 1 or 2 things, if any. Okay. So when we don't define what done means, what it looks like from the start, the homeowner is going to define it for you. And this is where the goalposts start getting moved, and you're going to be too tired to fight it at that point because you put the ball in the homeowner's court, and you don't want that to happen. You're the professional. You guide the final walkthrough. So today we're going to stop that pattern for you. All right, so let's look it down. Most homeowners don't know how to evaluate a finished product. They don't know. They subconsciously think they know. So they're looking for in their mind what they think is wrong. And they're going to nitpick things that are normal, right? Like, if you ever done a stain grade finish and had a homeowner complain about the variances in the actual grain of the wood and the discoloration, because you didn't explain to them that that's what stain grade is, okay? You have to explain to homeowners that you're going to see where where the nails went into some of the finished wood sometimes, even though we fill those, right? Unless you're doing super high-end custom where you're eliminating all that stuff, the average homeowner is going to see those things. You have to let them know that that's part of a standard finish. All right. So all of this is anchored to how much they're paying. And some people, the cheaper the client will expect, the higher the finish for the cheaper the price they paid. So understand that sometimes you're just better off dealing with high-end clients because they're going to be more reasonable with you about the overall finish at the end of the day. It has to be proper, but it's not always have to be perfect. And there is really not much perfect. All right, so if you're wanting to feel in control and have that homeowner write your final check, you're going to come up with this standard, right? And remember, homeowners are testing you all the time because this is the time where they feel like they're in control now. So if you've pissed them off or it's been adversarial, that could turn on you if you haven't done a good job. So be careful. Their central nervous system is scanning for anything that's incomplete. even if it's technically complete. They nitpick, they'll delay, and they're going to stress test your relationship, right? They're going to look for things that aren't even there because they feel like if they don't catch it now, they'll never see you again. And that fear leads to them overreacting. Now, if you guide them, if you use embedded language, we've talked about before, if you do a structure walkthroughs and you have positive anchoring, you can regulate their emotions and make this simple because you pre-frame it for them ahead of time. Okay. Again, welcome. Everybody's going to heaven. Yeah, razzle dazzle. We're here to talk about remodeling. All right, brother. So if anybody has any remodeling specific questions, then join in. Otherwise, this might not be the right channel for you. So here's the deal. You have to pre-frame the final walkthrough. So during your pre-construction meeting, before you ever lift a hammer, you say something like this: just so you know, Mr. and Ms. Smith, the way we finish jobs is different. We actually walk you through how to evaluate our work before the final day so that you're left not guessing or Googling what to look for. We're going to show you how to evaluate work, and we're going to do progressive walkthroughs the entire time. That way, at the very end, you're not left with a burden of all these things. Everything's already been addressed. So we do preliminary walkthroughs. This sets you up as organized, proactive, and not defensive. And homeowners appreciate this. And this is how, for us, we show up on the final day. We do the final walkthrough. We go over the instructions on how to utilize the space. We collect the check. We move on. We're not still touching up things, okay? Not like a home builder, and where they have to like have a list now of 30 things, doors that don't shut right, things like that, windows that are out of alignment. No, we've already taken care of all of that because you're a professional. So you want to provide the homeowner with an actual written guide that walks them through a checklist. Like, hey, here's what you look for. This is how you evaluate this part of the project. So we call it the homeowner completion guide, and you brand it with your company logo, and it's communicated in the way you like to speak, but it defines quality in layman's terms. It shows the homeowner what to look for, what to evaluate, how to do it, and it anchors their attention to the right criteria, okay? You don't want them focusing on the wrong stuff. You want them focusing on the proper stuff. Hey, do all your doors for the bedrooms, for instance, open and close properly? Does an open door stay in a fixed position? That's what we're looking for, right? That lets you know that you've put it in plumb and you have the hinges aligned properly. An open door stays in an open position, and a door, when you push, should easily close and latch. And as long as the doors do that, now you've got a proper install, things like that. So you remove what's called subjectivity and the resentment that comes from a client when they feel unheard or overwhelmed. See, now they're going to see you as a professional with a process, not a guy just chasing the punch list with a Sharpie. Yeah, this stuff works. All right, so instead of saying, let us know if you find anything wrong, that's not how you want to approach it. You say, hey, as we go through the final walkthrough, here's the guide, and you jot down anything that to you might seem incomplete or inconsistent with our original plan, anything you have a question about. I'm not asking them to find anything wrong. I'm asking something they have a question about or appears to be possibly incomplete that they're not sure of. We'll walk it together, and if anything does need refining, we'll take care of it. Now, a smart company with a good project manager, you've done all of this the day or two before the final walkthrough. That way the homeowner's like, we've already addressed everything. And the final walkthrough is just a formality of showing off the 100% completed and finished job. So it's a different way of thinking, and this is going to help you streamline, get in, get out, and not spend another week touching up things. All right, because I've seen it. You see the homeowners that go around with the blue tape, and no matter how many little skim coats you put on the sheetrock and touch-ups with the paint, they still have a problem with it because you never defined what a good job looks for. You have to let them know that it's natural to have some imperfections in finished sheetrock, right? And that's part of the process. Unless they're paying for that level 5 finish, this is the way it works. All right. So what we've done, we've reframed problems into just called refinements. We make mistakes turn into the alignment with the plan, and we turn picky clients into collaborative partners. They work with us at this point. All right. So what happens if you implement this? Well, here's what's going to happen. It's what happened for us, and I'm pretty certain it would happen for you. Your jobs finish on time, on a high note, with profit, right? Clients feel like they were part of the process. They feel like you respected them. They feel like you've provided them with above average service because you've been walking through and talking to them the entire time, right? You're not ghosting them and not showing up because you fixed everything as you went through the process, not waiting till the end, right? A lot of clients, their experience with a contractor is, yeah, the contractor did like 90% good, but never finished, never came back and touched this up. The gate still doesn't close right. You know, this is wrong. There's still these big gaps over here. You don't want to be that contractor. All right. So, and a lot of you guys know that that last 20%, that's the hardest sometimes. So in some companies, you might have one guy who's like your punch out specialist. He's the guy that should go to every job the last couple of days and just walk it through and correct all the things that the rest of the crew screwed up. All right. Finally, you're going to get better referrals. You're going to have fewer escalated or frustrated clients that are bad mouthing you around the community. People are going to be happy that they hired you. And again, your profit margin is going to be through the roof because you're getting in and getting out on schedule like you were supposed to. And then you walk away excited and not defeated. A lot of guys walk away from the job, and you know this to be true. You walk away from a job and you never want to talk to that homeowner again. Yeah, that happens a lot. And that's how you know your process is broken. If you get to the end of a job and you don't even want to talk to the homeowner anymore, yeah, you need a better final walkthrough process. All right, so that's everything. You want the client to become part of your sales force. So here's the challenge. You're going to feed ChatGPT the completed project scope, and you're going to ask it to generate what we call like a punch list prediction. Hey, these are the things that are probably going to be the homeowner's going to look for. We're going to make sure that we get that taken care of ahead of time. You're going to do a simple one-page client walkthrough expectation sheet, and you're going to do a script to explain your end of job process during your design or your pre-construction. So you put this into place for the next job and you do it from day one. That's how you get success. Okay. Once you do this, you'll never end the job in chaos again. You'll finish like a pro because you are. All right, who has some questions? Anybody still hanging around? I know it's late tonight, but that's what we have for you. These final walkthroughs are no joke, especially for you remodelers. If you're doing large projects like kitchens, bathrooms, additions, even just coming in and painting a couple rooms in the house, you have to explain to homeowners. Hopefully you understand how to paint properly and keeping a wet edge so the clients don't see all those, different variations in how you were painting the surface. If you keep a wet edge when you cut in and when you go to roll, the paint shows up more uniform on the wall, especially large rooms that have a lot of different lighting, right? Like natural light versus, those 20, 30-foot walls. You got to be careful on those guys. And obviously, darker colors and shinier sheen finish is always harder. But you have to, when you're painting a room and you didn't finish the sheetrock, you got to let people know up front, hey, Mr. and Miss Smith, I'm painting the wall, but you need to understand, I didn't do the original sheetrock here, so you may see some blemishes. And that's unless that part of your painting project is skimming the wall prior to painting, all right, which some high-end painters do that, right? They're going to give a level 5 finish. They're going to go ahead and coat the entire wall with a thin coat of mud, then prime and paint. But if you're not doing that, if you're just coming in and touching up some nail holes and then you're painting, sometimes the homeowners get upset because they're like, wait a minute, I see the seam. I can see where, this was filled and patched, where my son kicked the wall 3 years ago and my brother-in-law patched it and it looks like, crap. And they're thinking paint's not going to cover that kind of stuff. So those are the kind of things you have to go over with the homeowner in advance. Hey, when you evaluate our paint, What you're really looking for is, did we get paint where we weren't supposed to? And does it look uniform? No drips, no bubbles, all that kind of stuff. All right, that's everything I got. Anybody want to share where they're from, what the got any projects you're working on, what your specialty is, whatever. Got a couple minutes. Not tonight, huh? Quiet group. No worries. Um, so yeah. So if this kind of stuff is what you're looking for, whether you're on TikTok, those of you, if you've missed it, if you come in late and you want to go back and see the presentation, it was about 12, 15 minutes. You can pop on over to our YouTube channel. Today was day 41, and all the content would be there. Otherwise, if you're in the remodeling field and you want success faster, you can join the Rebel program. Look, it's just for guys that want to win, right? You join the group, you get around a bunch of other good contractors, you learn basically the secrets that everybody's using to win in their marketplace. And then you start putting them into your marketplace so that you're winning. That's all. That's what the group's about. There's a concept where you as a person will grow and be as successful as the people that you're around. So sometimes the only thing keeping some people from succeeding is just the company that they keep, right? If you're an entrepreneur, if you own a business, but yet you only hang around like all your neighborhood, your family, your friends, if none of them own businesses, if they're all employees, it's going to be hard for you to really excel in business, in my opinion, because you're not surrounding yourself with other business owners and you're not talking the talk, driving, seeing what people are doing, getting ideas from all your buddies, right? It's like trying to be a major league baseball player or NFL football player, but yet never practicing with anybody, just doing everything on your own and running around with like some T-ball kids. I mean, it's just going to bring your skill level down. If you want to excel and be the top in your neighborhood, in your hometown, your state, you want to surround yourself with other top performers across the country so you can learn from everybody. There's more than enough work out there. Okay, even if two of you are in the same state, but you can still learn from each other, right? That whole mentality of, see, a lot of old school contractors, the reason they don't want to share anything is because, one, they don't really know how they're being successful. They just know that they are. And some of them are only successful because their parents, their grandfather, somebody else started a construction business and they were able to build off of that momentum, that longevity. They still get some referrals, from generations ago, but they don't know what to do to make their business run. So they're not able to share and even strategize. So that's why they become secretive, because they're scared to death that the reality is they don't know what makes their business work. All right. But anyone of any substance who's ever built a business from scratch knows that this game ain't that hard once you get the foundation done. And it just because you know what I know, that doesn't mean you're going to take business from me, right? You're only going to pick up things that I fail to deliver on for myself and for my clients. Because certain clients are going to like my process and my personality. Certain clients are going to like your process and your personality. And there is more than enough work for all of us out there. So there's really, like, the only person I compete against is myself. I just have to show up every day. And you should understand that in your marketplace, that's your competition. It's you. You might think it's this other company, right? Like when I got started, there was a guy, he had been in business for 50 years, huge company. And I emulated them. Like I copied many of the things that they did. And when I first started, man, I would hear their name constantly. Oh no, we're going to go with Welsh. We're hiring Welsh. Nope, Welsh. We already talked with the Welsh salesperson. That's who we're going with. Nope, we're waiting for Welsh. Like they, and it was frustrating for sure. Welsh had a huge name, huge reputation. They were like a 30 to $50 million a year company, right? And I was brand new, and they went out of business. How about that, right? Because they lost their way. They had a little bit of ownership shift. Some different people came in. The owner, the original owner, I don't know if he had a health issue or passed away or whatever, but the guys that started coming across later, they lost touch with their homeowners. They didn't follow the same process. Anyone's susceptible to going out of business. And if so, they really weren't my competition. I just thought they were because they were everywhere. I mean, they were the guys advertising on TV. They had the billboards. They had the radio programs. You know, they were everywhere. But eventually, what I learned is I'm only competing with myself because you start building a name for yourself in your own community about the way that you do business. And then when they went out of business, obviously it got that much easier. So, all right. Anybody who's still on, if you have any questions about remodeling, let me know. Nope. See any comments. Oh, I guess I haven't been keeping up. Hold on, let's see. But yeah, if there's anything I can do to give you assistance with your remodeling business. So anyway, but all I'm trying to say is you are your own competition. There's nobody else out there. You might think you are. If a homeowner tells you that they're going with someone else, all that means is there was something you failed to do in the moment. Something you didn't connect with them. You didn't really understand the issue. You didn't understand the real budget. That's what I'm trying to say is you're the only competition that matters. It's what version of you shows up tomorrow. Did you do a little bit more today so that you're a better version of yourself tomorrow? Okay. That's really who you're just we're all competing against ourselves in a sense, because as we get better, as we learn more business skills, right, as we continue to grow and iterate, and the only way you learn these things is you have to go out and make mistakes. I talk to a lot of guys, and it's so funny. They'll be like, well, I'm gonna wait and do a little more research. I'm not ready to make a decision yet. I'm not. And here's the thing: the best thing you can do is get out and start failing, because that will teach you everything you need to know. You only need to go out and do it wrong a couple times, and then you figure out the right way. So it's that fail first, fail fast, fail first, and fail forward. So put stuff out there, get going, figure it out, make mistakes. Now I'm not talking major mistakes, but like you want to try some marketing, try it a little bit here, try it there, try a new hook, try a new ad, get a new door hanger, right? Try a new job site sign, try adding a new service, whatever it is. Figure it out, see how it works for you. So, all right, I mean, you got some of you guys are on here. I don't recognize any of the names. So, but yeah, if you have any questions regarding remodeling, sales, objections, the final walkthrough, I can't show you here, but we literally have a several-page guide that we give the homeowner. And I can read part of it to you. It says, first off, thank you. You've trusted us with your home, your vision, your time, your money. And now we're entering that final stage, the moment where all the planning, coordination, craftsmanship, and decision-making comes together. This document is here to guide you through the final walkthrough of your remodeling project, calmly, confidently, and without confusion. Our goal, a smooth handoff, clear communication, a beautiful space that you're proud of. And to achieve that, we believe in leading the finish line like we led the starting line, right? All remodelers start out strong, but most fail. You're going to let them know you lead all the way through to the finish line. And the way you do that is with a process, right? So this is where we explain, look, our final walkthrough, it's not that it's a punch list. No. That's where marketing went bad for some builder somewhere years ago. And the reality is a lot of builders have a horrible process. They just slap things together at the last minute, and then they have to have these punch lists, right? Like it's terrible. A remodeler, that's different. You don't have that. You might use the term punch list, but that's not what you mean. We do final walkthroughs. We do completions and instructional education sessions where we're going to teach you how to go over all the things that we've installed. right? It's a framework. It helps you focus on what matters most, from completion, quality, consistency, and alignment. We're going to walk through side by side. We're not putting the pressure on you. We're going to show you the things so all along the process, you're correcting things and letting the homeowner know, hey, Mr. Smith, you notice when we put this up the other day, that wall had a couple bowed 2x4s. Well, here's what my lead carpenter did. He came back, he put this relief cut here, right? And he adjusted that. We put a nailer here. So we've corrected these things. And you'll notice when we get to the sheetrock stage, the sheetrock's going to set better. You should have these types of conversations with homeowners, or your lead carpenter or project manager should anyway. So remember, at the end of the day, you tell the homeowner, it's not that you're inspecting us. We're completing this together, right? We're completing it together. So here's how you evaluate the project. You tell them that, does the finished product reflect the intention and the vision we originally agreed on? Do the elements feel consistent and complete, or does something seem out of alignment to you? Is the functionality here? Do the doors, the drawers, the fixtures, is everything operate as expected? And your guys should already be doing this, right? All your kitchen cabinet doors should be aligned and squared and closed properly. You should have all that kind of stuff fixed. You shouldn't be leaving it up to the homeowner to say, hey, what's going on here? Okay. You should talk about the aesthetics, right? Is the paint complete? Are you not, you shouldn't have the wall paint on the trim, right? That should already be taken. If that's what you're leaving the homeowner to fix and tell you is wrong, you got bigger problems in your business. Okay. You're a professional remodeler. Like, come on now. You should have had a final walkthrough with your painter. You should not be having the homeowner show this to you on the final walkthrough of the job. So I understand that's a broken process. If you're coming up on the last day and the homeowner's like, hey, the red paint that was supposed to be on the wall, you got it on the carpet, you got it on the trim, there's some on the door. I mean, come on now. That's just rookie. Like, that's amateur hour. It's like, what's this, your first job? Come on now. That shouldn't be happening at a final walkthrough. Somebody on your team needs to shut that down right away with the painter. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it gets corrected long before the final walkthrough. So, and tile, make sure whoever does your tile, that's a huge one, right? The inconsistencies, the tile not being level, the grout lines shifting because somebody walked on the tile before it was set completely, all that kind of shit. As a professional, that doesn't happen. Now, I have had a couple instances where homeowners had kids and we were remodeling a bathroom. Specifically, it seems to happen in it was like a Jack and Jill bathroom. And we put up tape and we had the doors shut, but one of the kids went through at the middle of the night, forgot, and walked across and shifted a bunch of tiles. You address that, you fix it. You don't leave that for the final walkthrough. You guys don't come back and just grout it. You see what I'm saying? As a professional, you take care of these things ahead of time. Anyway, I see a couple people joining. Let me know where you're from, what state you work out of or you live in, and what specialty or niche you get into. Also, you ask the homeowner, hey, do you feel proud of the finished product? And does it feel finished to you? Like, is there anything you think, and you explain to them the 6-foot rule. I've gone over that. Explain to them how to evaluate doors and windows, right? Windows should open and close. They should latch, things like that. Trim, all your miters should be tight. Now, explain to them that things may open and close, especially those of you that aren't gluing your miters on casings together, right? Like some of you are just nailing it and trying to fill it with some caulk. That might be something you have to come back and touch up in 6 months to a year. But for those of you that are professionals and you're gluing your miters, that's most likely not going to open up right away on you. So, yeah. But, none of your faucets should leak. Hot should be hot. Cold should be cold. What else? There shouldn't be any tools left behind. Flooring transitions should be in place before the final walkthrough. Like, you shouldn't be leaving stuff like that. So, and if the homeowner does spot something, all you have to do is make a note for you. Say, hey. But let's see, you tell them that here, oh, this is part of your letter too. You say, hey, we don't consider the job done just because the hammer stops swinging. We consider it done when you feel proud to live in the space we built. Give them some nice sayings. If something's not right, we'll address it. If something's unclear, we'll clarify it. If something needs a refinement, we're going to make it right. That's how professionals finish a remodel. So it's not about us being perfect, it's about us being accountable. So especially those of you that do large scale rehab work, build additions, put a whole new roof, soffit, fascia, gutters, downspouts, siding, windows, doors, landscaping. Let the homeowner know when we go through and do the final walkthrough, there's going to be some imperfections here and there. That's life. But all in all, when we stand back on the street and we look up at the house, does everything look good from there? Those are the types of things you want the homeowner focused on. Let's see. Some of the things that we have in our guide are all surfaces wiped clean? Is the debris been removed? There's no paint drips. You didn't forget to wipe out the inside of a cabinet. Like if you do kitchens, your guys should be vacuuming and wiping down insides of cabinets and the tops. If you're not enclosing them up to the ceiling, like that should be wiped up and clean. In the base cabinets, somebody should be vacuuming in there. I mean, this is you. Every time I think it's standard, then I talk to somebody. I'm like, why aren't you doing that? Like, there shouldn't be any. If you're installing baseboard and the nail gun misfires, there shouldn't be errant nails. Like you should take care of that. Clean them up, remove them. And do a lot of you guys know when a nail gun, if you want it perpendicular typically because the way the nails, how nails, when you shoot them into a nail gun, like especially trim gauge, 2.5-inch nails, they only either shoot left or right to blow out. They never go up or down. So when you're installing, sometimes you need to actually turn the nail gun sideways. That way, if the nail blows out, it will only go up or down and not out the side of the casing. Like if you're putting on the door trim, you guys know those tricks? Hopefully you do. I still see guys holding the nail gun the improper way. You hold it across, not up and down, because if the nail shoots out, you don't want it blowing out the side of the casing. Let's see, what else? Floors should be level, seams should be tight. Shouldn't be any lippage, right? I mean, these are standard things. Doors and windows close and latch. Cabinet doors align. That everything's tight. The door fronts or faces shouldn't be loose. The drawer slides. Make sure all those guides are proper. Shouldn't be any loose there. The handles should be tightened down. They shouldn't be loose. Faucets, hot and cold, should both work. When they shut off, they're off. Check for leaks under the sink, right? The drip test, you should put like a piece of paper or a paper towel and run the faucet for several minutes and then turn it off, make sure there's no drips. Like this is standard stuff that like your trade, whoever's if you're using a plumber, they should be doing this. Your project manager, okay? This shouldn't be stuff that's coming up on the final walkthrough. Let's see. Oh, light switches. Somebody needs to go around and test every light switch, and somebody needs to go around with an electrical tester and test all receptacles to make sure that they light up properly, right? That there's no reverse grounds, neutrals, whatever. Like, just make sure, because sometimes people make mistakes, but you should catch it, not the homeowner, right? Make sure motion sensors are working and aligned in the proper area, right? They just not random. Appliances, if you're installing appliances, make sure that they function. That's the bulk of it. Landscaping, make sure the lighting works again. Trying to think. I think the biggest thing we ran into was drywall finish. Do you really believe? Hey, Stringer Cheese, you might be on the wrong channel, brother. All right. Well, this is just for remodelers here. But the biggest question we had a lot was sheetrock finishing and paint finishing, especially people with these vaulted big like 2-story family rooms, right, where the natural light comes in and hits that one wall. Um, all that kind of stuff has to be discussed with the homeowner. And when they're looking at their budget, like maybe your company does a level 5 sheetrock finish as standard. And then again, maybe it doesn't. And you need to share with the homeowner, like, hey, you wanted to go a little low on the budget. That's going to be a lower finish on the sheetrock. What that means is you're going to be able to see the seams. If you stand just the right way and the light's hitting it just the right way, or does the way you finish the sheetrock not have those things? Like that have to be discussed. And paint, the higher the sheen, the more likely are you to see imperfections, as opposed to, so that's why ceilings are painted flat, right, so that you don't see the imperfections. All right, guys, I think that's everything for tonight. I appreciate you all being on here, and we're going to bounce. So if you have, again, put in any comments. If you have any questions, let me know where you're from. Otherwise, that's everything for tonight. All right. Got a few more join. I think we're bouncing here. Unless you have a specific remodeling question, something about the final walkthrough with the homeowner. I might not have ever shared the screen tonight. How about that? That shit happens. Yeah, so for those of you that watch the YouTube, you'll have to reach out to me if you want to. Yeah, maybe I can get you. Send me a message if you need some of the slide information. It looks like I never shared the screen. That shit happens. There you go. Avoid this end of job mistake. Like I did not avoid the mistake. All right, fellas. I don't see any questions coming in about remodeling. So I think that's all we're going to do for the night. We'll be back tomorrow. Let me see what we're talking about tomorrow. Give me 1 second. Tomorrow's day. Oh, tomorrow's change orders. So yeah, we'll be going over change orders. Actually, it's gonna be later today actually. So you guys, this one ran over a little bit, but yeah, we're gonna get into change orders. So if you got questions on how to do change orders, you make sure you jump into the next live and we'll go over that. All right, otherwise, again, I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm gonna hop off. Take care, guys. Thanks for being here. I'm gonna end this, shut that down.